So today's topic of discussion is microbiology of indigenous milk products. And in today's lecture, I will focus on desiccated milk based products. So you people have already studied about microbiological significance of different manufacturing stages of different products like ice cream, then cream, butter, concentrated milk products like sweetened condensed milk, as well as evaporated milk. And then you have also studied about the microbiology of dried milk. So in today's class, we will discuss about the microbiological significance of a very particular product, that is desiccated milk-based products. So first of all, it is very important to know that what is indigenous milk products. So the term indigenous milk products, it simply refers exclusively to dairy products of a particular region or country. So whatever sweet meat people are liking in a particular region, that include that all sweets are included under this heading, that is indigenous milk product. There are some specific product in our state also. You must have idea about Belgrami, then different type of mawas preparation, and people prefer to purchase it. They prefer to like in their daily diet. So 47% of total milk products in India, that is directly converted to various indigenous milk products. And this is the backbone of Indian confectionery industry. Every time when you visit to your sweetmeat shop, you can see some newer kind of sweets. Or if you go in the background of manufacturing operation of those sweets, you will get that all sort of preparation are having some different type of manufacturing treatment given during its preparation. So it is very important to know the flow diagram, or you can say the different steps of manufacturing operation. Then only you can say that what kind of product you have prepared, what type of quality you have maintained during the manufacturing operation, and whatever treatment you are giving during the manufacturing of that particular product, that will dictate that what kind of microorganisms will be present in the system or what not. So it's very important to have complete idea about the manufacturing operation. So first of all, uh, the traditional Indian dairy products can be classified into 6 categories and based on the principle of manufacture. Uh, these are heat desiccated products, heat and acid coagulated products, then fermented products, then product made with addition of cereals. In some cases, people are adding some cereal product uh, for manufacturing of different product. Then clarified butter fat, people are using frozen products are there like kulfi. So all these products people are using, and it all considered under indigenous milk product. So if you see the overall scenario of Indian dairy industry, and you can see here that the total business is about 5,67,000 crore rupees for Indian dairy industry, especially. Uh, And if you talk about the organized dairy sector, then it is about 100,000 crores rupees, and the growth rate is about 10%. And if you talk about the value-added dairy products, it is about 25,000 crores. It's a figure of June uh, 19, and if you see the total value of paneer, it is about 10,000 crores, and in case of cheese, it is about 3,500 crores, flavored milk 2,000 crores, milk shake 500 crores. So you can well imagine the growth trend of our country. Day by day, you can see some kind of newer product are introduced in our local market. Now people have uh, introduced so many different type of fermented dairy products like Yakult, Kumis, then yogurt. So here one thing I just want to tell you people, you see the growth rate of manufacturing of different dairy products. The rate of growth is about 10%. Is very good figure as far as the dairy technocrats are concerned. Uh, and every time job will be available for you people. No doubt for that you have to have complete idea about the whole system. Then only you can get a good job either in Sudha or some other cooperative sector or other federations. So first of all, I just want to tell you something about the different indigenous product. Chena, you must have idea about this paneer, how it is prepared. You have already studied about the paneer manufacturing process, kalakand, rasgulla, srikhand, rabri, then peda or peda is you have to study in this class. Then kheer is also a very known product, and then rasmalai, dahi, kulfi, lassi, gulab jamun, barfi, and sandesh. So all these products are uh, prepared in our country, and people are using it in their diet. So today we are mainly focused some of the desiccated milk-based product, how it is manufactured, and what type of uh, microorganisms can gain entry into the system, and how it will affect the overall quality of the product, what type of spoilages they may create in the final product, or what kind of uh, different kind of diseases can be transmitted through these products. So here you can see the different products, which is mainly prepared by Khoa. Khoa is the base material, as all of you know that nowadays people are using uh, continuous Khoa making machine. They are electrical operated. They can be used with the gas also. And um, it is very frequently used in our rural areas also. So just by producing khoa, you can prepare barfi, gulab jamun, basundi, rabri, then kalakand, plain pera, dharwar pera. So all these products can be manufactured by using pera as a raw material. Here in this table, I have given you the source, name of source. Here in this side, different products name is given. What is the compositional difference between all these products are also given: moisture level, fat level, protein, lactose, then sucrose, as everything is given in this table. So simply you should have some idea about the compositional difference between all these indigenous milk products. Now, something about Khoa, it is mainly of three types: Dhap, Pindi, and Danedar. The composition of these three types of Khoa is given here, and you have already studied all these things in your technological or engineering classes. Now the first product is Gulab Jamun. It is very popular khoa based sweet, and the composition is given here. Fat percentage is 10%, protein 6%, sugar 42, and acidity is 0.6%. And how you can produce this Gulab Jamun? So first of all, you have to uh, produce khoa, and thereafter planetary mixer is there, and in that you have to add some amount of maida and other ingredients as per the requirement of your market or liking of uh, consumer. Dough is prepared, then portioning machine is there, 8 gram is each. Ball is prepared, then ball forming machine will form the uh, different ball having uniform size. Thereafter, uh, deep fat frying tank, which is maintained at 140 degrees centigrade. That will be, and after that, after frying, it will be dipped in sugar syrup tank. And thereafter, gulab jamun will be prepared. You can pack it in tin or in different containers. Thereafter, you have to store it. You can also go for canning process if you want to store it for a very longer period, and if you want to send it to other places. So just by going through, you can prepare your gulab jamun. So now it is very important to know the factors affecting the microbiological quality of gulab jamun. What are the different factors and how it is affecting the overall microbiological quality of your final product? So first of all, quality of khoa is very important. You all have idea that for producing any sort of any kind of dairy product, one must have a very good quality of raw milk. So you have to maintain a very good quality of raw milk. Then only you can produce a very good quality of khoa. So uh, the condition during transportation, during collection, and uh, after collection at your factory, how you are maintaining it, and what type of condition you are creating, that will add or that will restrict the conditions and ultimately give a particular type of microbiological quality of your final product. So if you are maintaining the whole system, and during manufacturing or khoa making, if you have maintained a very good condition, automatically you can minimize the total bacterial load of your final product. Thereafter, quality of floor and water, whatever flooring condition of your factory premises, that will also uh, add some number of, if it is not proper, automatically it will add some number of contaminants. Whatever water you are using for washing purposes or for cleaning purposes, automatically quality of that water should be of good or having low bacteriological uh, count. Then quality of sugar, that should be of good, and it should not contain higher number of different kind of microorganisms. Whatever nuts people are using sometimes for giving a specific taste or a specific for preparing a specific type of product, that must be of good quality. Then contamination from utensils and soils, packaging material. So all these things you people have already studied in different courses. So first of all, it is very important to know the different type of microorganisms which may present uh, during the manufacturing operation, and sometimes uh, some post pasteurization or some post heat treatment contaminants are there, which also gain entry into the system and ultimately responsible for creating different kind of defects or some kind of a spoilage problem to your final product. Now, here defects of gulab jamun is given a stale and sour flavor. Sometimes you will get this kind of flavor, and you can control it just by minimizing the total bacterial load, or whatever treatment, heat treatment you are giving, just having a good control during your operation, you can minimize the total level of contaminants in your final product. Now, Para, it is a Sandesh of North. Moisture level is 14%, fat 19%, protein 15%. This is the manufacturing process of Khoa. Khoa 72%. Total solid is heated to 60 degrees centigrade in a steam jacketed pan and transferred to planetary mixer. So first of all, whatever traditional method for manufacturing of Khoa is there, you can prepare it in open kadahi, or you can use continuous Khoa making machine, and thereafter you have to uh, take it in steam jacketed pan, and sugar, flavor, and some other ingredients required for uh, preparing or manufacturing Khoa, that will be mixed uh, with the help of different type of mixer. Then para mass is transferred to cold room, and thereafter para mass temperature is brought down to 5 degrees centigrade. Then it is fed to Rion or para shaping machine nowadays available, and in Indian market you can purchase, and accordingly you can adjust the size, and thereafter packaging will be done, and it will be stored in refrigerated condition, and finally you can just by uh, doing all these things, you can produce para, and ultimately your product is ready for the nearby market. So this is the process. Khoa is taken. First of all, you are taking Khoa, thereafter heating at 60 degrees centigrade, and then addition of sugar, kneading, additives is there, transfer to shallow trays, and accordingly, whatever size and whatever shape you want, you can prepare. Here in this table, I have tried to give you the uh, composition of different type of barfi, how you can produce it. Here you can just go through the constituents. Moisture level is 15.67, fat is 20.48, protein is 14.92, lactose is 15.82, ash content is 2.74, and sucrose is 30.36. So what additional treatment you are giving for barfi manufacturing? You have already seen here in this table, or in this flow diagram, that we are additionally adding 30% sugar in that. Thereafter, kneading will be done. And if you want to prepare some specific type of barfi, automatically you have to add some additives. Sometimes people are adding some color or some flavor compound for giving a typical type of, or for producing a typical type of product as per the liking of that particular areas, and as per the liking of consumer. Thereafter transferred, it will be transferred into a shallow tray, and ultimately you have to cut it in different sizes, and packaging will be done, and thereafter it will be sent to the near market. It is very popular in throughout our country. In north side, people prefer to eat in their daily diet. Now something about typical microflora which are generally found in market sample of Khoa. If you talk about yeast, automatically Saccharomyces, Candida, Rhodotorula, Aspergillus, Geotrichum, Mucor, Fusarium, Rhizopus, Cladosporium. These are the different yeasts which are uh, generally found. A number of different research workers have tried to isolate different type of contaminating microorganisms present in Khoa. And on the basis of their result, this table is prepared if you talk about the bacterial contaminants, mainly Streptococci, Micrococci, Bacillus group uh, are present in your final product. And if you talk about the pathogenic bacteria, sometimes people have uh, isolated this particular Staphylococci from their CHOA sample. So something about the microbiological quality of Para. Microbial number, microbial types, quality of milk, production hygiene, then contamination from utensils, soil contamination, unclean handlers. So these are the factors which are responsible for the microbiological quality of Para. Nowadays, it is very important to have idea about the types of microorganisms which may uh, be there in the system, and because some microorganisms even in very low number is able to create so many abnormalities in your final product, or sometimes it is responsible for transmitting some kind of diseases to human being. So whatever product you are manufacturing, that must be of good quality, and there should not be that kind of pathogenic microorganisms in, in the final product. Quality is milk. I have already discussed you that in any product, quality is of raw milk is one of the main considering point. And if you are procuring or maintaining or producing good quality of milk or receiving good quality of raw milk, automatically you can prepare a good quality of final product if you have maintained a proper hygiene at your factory premises. Then contamination from utensils, whatever pipelines or utensils or different kind of vessels or bucket you are using, that must have a good quality, and that should be properly cleaned before use. Otherwise, it will add some number of microorganisms in the final product. Thereafter, sometimes you will get some kind of soil contamination, then unclean handlers, what the person who is responsible for preparing or manufacturing these kind of indigenous milk product must have a good hygienic condition, having knowledge about the sanitization and hygienic practices. So CHOA serves as a favorable medium for the growth of a variety of contaminating microorganisms. Why it is favorable? Because of its high moisture level and high nutritive value. All sort of nutrients are available which can facilitate the growth of different contaminating microorganisms. And this can be kept in good condition for 48 hours under normal condition, and thereafter deteriorates due to microbial action. So whatever microbe initially present, um, some number of those contaminants will survive in the system, and ultimately it will deteriorate the microbial your final product. So these organisms gain access as contaminants from different sources in the product. So I have already discussed about the different sources, whatever utensils you are using, whatever equipment you have used for procurement and the vehicle you have used for transportation purposes. So all will add some kind of or some number of contaminating microorganisms in the system. The rapid spoilage of CHOA is due to the contamination with mold uh, from different sources. Then a number of research work were carried out to know the microbiological status of CHOA and CHOA-based sweets in different parts of the country. And on the basis of that, it was concluded that some products have some rancidity problem. In some cases, you will get sour flavor. Then sometimes you will get mold growth on the surfaces of CHOA. Just keeping all these things in mind, people have started researchers have started recommending to pack it under modified atmosphere packages. And just by doing this, uh, you can increase the shelf life up to 15 days. at 37 degrees centigrade, and at 20 degrees centigrade, you can keep these products for 30 days. Something about mold growth, storage of Koa at ambient and also at lower temperatures favors the growth of mold, which imparts off flavor. You have idea about different type of mold, and you also have idea about the factors affecting the growth and activity of different mold. Whenever you are restricting the environment and whenever you are lowering down the water activity of any product, automatically the chances of growth of different kind of mold and is more in that kind of product. So if these mold will grow in the system, it sometimes it also produce certain mycotoxins under favorable condition. So high number of mold growth observed due to high moisture content in the product. And if there is some leakage of air in the packed product, so automatically you have to keep your product where you have already maintained moisture level, and there should not be any sort of aeration problem. So control measures is given here. Moisture level in Koa should not be allowed to exceed the prescribed limit. Koa should be stored in airtight packages. Treatment of wrapping paper with antifungal agents like potassium sorbates. So a number of different type of chemicals are also available, which people are using for controlling different kind of microorganisms. And just by doing all these things, you can improve the shelf life of your product. So now it is very important to know the types of microflora in Koa and Koa based product. So various groups of bacteria, acid producers, proteolytic, chromogenic, lipolytic, aerobic spore formers, cyclotrophs, thermophiles, and some of the pathogens, they are the main microorganisms which may present in final product. Some yeast and molds are also reported to occur in Koa. Now, cyclotropic bacteria, mainly Pseudomonas, Achromobacter, then Flavobacterium, alkaligenes, these are also isolated from the samples collected from the different parts, samples collected from different areas. So there may be chances of uh, contamination of para by these microorganisms, and they are responsible for giving different or creating different type of spoilage problem in final product. So on the basis of comparative analysis of Koa, Burfi and Para, it has been observed that Koa contain higher population of yeast and mold than Burfi or Para, because here you are adding some other compounds, and just by doing that, there is some inhibitory effect on the final product. The composite microflora of market Burfi and Para was studied, in which bacteria, yeast, and mold were isolated from both the product through the preparation. Proportion of yeast and mold was extremely low. So no doubt, whatever treatment you are giving, that is sufficient to inhibit all sort of microorganisms, or lowering down the total level of contaminants microorganisms. But there may be chances of presence of some microorganisms. Now, the microbiology of Koa. So Koa is favorable medium for the growth of microbes on account of its nutritive value and moisture content. I have already told you that there is good amount of moisture in Koa, and all sort of nutrients are available in your product. Automatically, it is favorable for the growth and activity of different kind of microorganisms. The unsatisfactory practices generally followed in its production, handling, and storage in or unorganized section results in poor shelf life. So one should control the entry of different kind of microorganisms during different stages of collection, transportation, manufacturing, packing, etc. So it was observed by a group of scientists, and it has been observed that solar radiation and microwave heating can improve the shelf life of your final product, that is Koa. So, and it is very helpful in reducing the total bacterial count, yeast and mold count as well as a spore count of the final product. At the same time, a study was conducted to analyze bacterial contaminants pathogens in Khoa samples sold in Madhya Pradesh. It was observed that Khoa were brought from different localities of Madhya Pradesh, and it was observed that bacterial colonies uh, of Staphylococcus aureus as well as Streptococcus uh, were found in those samples, and their range, their total numbers was from 1.3 to 10 to the power 2, 2.1 to 10 to the power 6 colony forming unit per gram in those samples. So heating or processing of milk having 3.5 to 6.5% fat at either 63 degrees centigrade or 73 degree centigrade is sufficient to inhibit all sort of microorganisms, but there may be chances of presence of uh, some bacteria, some yeast, and some mold. If you talk about different mold, that is Geotrichum candidum, mucor, uh, then Aspergillus niger, Rhizopus, Cladosporium. So these are the different groups of modes which are generally found in your product and isolated from different samples of Khoa. Sometimes Salmonella typhus, Shigella dysenteriae, Vibrio cholerae, Escherichia coli, different strains of Escherichia coli are also found in different Khoa samples. So whatever quality of milk you are taking, whatever conditions you have maintained at your factory, or whatever treatment or heat treatment you have given during the desiccation process or manufacturing process, you have to maintain it, and you have to avoid the contamination. The internal environment of your factory should be perfect, and whatever water or whatever human handler is there must maintain a good health. So just by doing all these things, you can prepare a good quality Khoa. Sometimes Salmonella and Shigella are also observed, and different researchers have shown the presence of these microorganisms. So if these kind of contaminants are there in the product, it will be responsible for creating or transferring some kind of diseases to human being. So just by controlling and just by having a good control uh, over different stages of manufacturing operation, you can minimize the total bacterial load, and at the same time you can improve the overall quality of your final product. So I think this is all about your desiccated indigenous desiccated milk products.